This episode is brought to you by Feedback Now, the world's best real-time feedback platform, and by the Experience Strategy Collaboratives. Welcome to the Experience Strategy Podcast with Joe Pine, author of The Experience Economy and so many other best-selling books on the topic. Dave Norton, an experience futurist and founder of Stone Mantle, the Experience Strategy Company, and me, Aranza Savas, an expert in coaching, motivation, and behavior change. Each week, we bring you a trending story from the news and share our hot takes. Today, we are talking about Zara's travel brand, Zara's travel mode. If you don't know Zara, they are a big player in fashion, started in Spain, rolled out globally, and right now they're playing with this idea of enabling users to shop for products while traveling. So their products specifically available at their destination, and then you can have them delivered directly to your holiday accommodation. The prices are automatically displayed in the local currency, which is super smart, and of course streamline sort of that cognitive load for the shopper, even as a tourist. And then the service is going beyond fashion, which I think is a really interesting thing that we'll talk about here, because the app is also offering curated travel tips, including recommendations for restaurants, museums, and popular attractions. Travelers can send digital postcards. I have questions to share memories with friends and families. One of my favorite tips about this is that travel mode operates without internet access, ensuring consistent usability while on the go. So the word mode gets thrown around a lot, which is why for years we've been studying modes. Dave and Joe wrote a really valuable and clarifying piece on this for HBR a few years ago. We'll link that in the show notes and be talking about that today, so that we can all sort of use the same language and thought processes as we're talking about what we even mean by modes within experiences. But we're super excited to unpack this. And I think what you'll hear from us today is what we like about this and what we think is they're doing a good job of with modes, and maybe where there are some opportunities to more effectively create a meaningful and memorable brand building and loyalty building experience with modes. Dave, I'm going to start with you today. What were your initial thoughts as you read about Zara's travel mode?
Well, first of all, a shout out to Ivana Damjanovic, who sent us this article. We love Ivana. We think she's awesome. She's in Serbia. She's a certified experience strategist. And I sent out a note to a few of my friends and listeners in Europe, because we wanted to make sure that we were getting some examples from places outside of the United States. And so this is a great example. The Zara travel mode is being piloted, I think, in France, in Italy, and in Spain. I think those are the three countries.
Not Spain.
Not
importantly.
Spain.
So they're not piloting in their home country, which I think is important and true to the mode.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is a mode? A mode is a mindset and a set of behaviors that a person gets into temporarily. And the key word is temporarily. It's something that people do all the time, and we talk about it all the time. But it's not necessarily something that companies always leverage. I think the word itself has taken on more importance because technology also has modes, but technology modes are not the same as human modes. Technology modes are just things that you kind of flip on and flip off. They're switches, and they're great. But you can create technology that supports the human mindset and set of behaviors that they get into temporarily. And by doing so, you can customize the experience to be perfectly in tune with what they're trying to do in that particular moment, that particular situation, how they're trying to think through things, and it helps them get jobs done that they would otherwise not be doing if they were not in that particular mode.
So
And
is the main thing that Zara is doing outside of the tips and the memories sort of section of being able to send outfits basically to your destination so that you get them when you arrive there or while you're there. Is that really a mode that someone is activating themselves?
So it's an option within the app that you can set. Now, if we start talking about what I think works well here and probably what doesn't, I think one of the things that's missing is they're not telling us that story, because they are saying, like, think about your future self who's going to get to Italy and then want to dress like your Italian version of yourself in Italian traveler mode. And so that anticipatory thing is really hard for the human brain. It needs a lot of prodding. I need to be able to see like photos of the play, right? Like I need them to move my brain there before I'm there. And even in the way they're talking about it within their own service and their own systems, they're just kind of saying like, we're going to hope that you're going to get into that mode and want this, because the travel times still take the travel times. It's not like they're overnighting it to you. It's you're going to leave in 3 days, you order it, and it's going to ship over 3 days and get there. That is a lot of cognitive lift, right? And so I think you're asking the exact right question. Like, how do modes work? Well, they work when you're in context.
mm-hmm.
So anticipating context is really hard.
Right. But not impossible.
Not impossible. It can be cued.
No,
it just needs careful cueing.
Right, absolutely. And the fact that they are talking about being in travel mode does kind of cue you. So having that particular feature, and I do think that they're spending they're kind of doing like iterations of this, I imagine. So they're trying to take some of the functional elements out of it for you. You don't have to set the destination because they know the destination. You don't have to think about what's appropriate, or they can suggest to you things that are going to be appropriate if you're going to be at the beach. But I also think that they're thinking about this as if you lose your luggage, this is a great option when you're in a crisis to kind of help you, right? Which is not going to occur.
Yes and no, right? Because this has still got the 3-day shipping problem. So if that's the case, I think it would be a different mode, right? It would be crisis mode, which would be we have a concierge shopper for travelers in our stores, right? Like it's going to be like, to me, that it would be a different solution for that mode, which is why mode thinking has to be so thoughtful and intentional about which specific mode your customer is going to be in.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. Then maybe the next iteration that they do will allow you to kind of click on the things that you're going to want at your local store and then just go pick them up from the local store so that you're able to do that. So we don't know.
With a little like welcome to Italy gift, right? Like, because that
would really make sense. That if you go to the store, you get a welcome gift to Italy, and then of course you're going to be looking at buying more things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that that's a key thing, Joe, is when you start to support the modes that your customer is in, you actually create more buying opportunities. Mm-hmm. And because it fits with what they're trying to accomplish anyways. They're in the right mindset and so forth. Now, retailers have known about this for a long time. They've talked about mission trips, right? So you have a mission that you're going to go on. So I just need to get in real quick, get the eggs, get the
birthday present,
get out. That's all I'm trying to do. And that is one way, that's kind of a basic way of looking at modes. But the difference between a mission and having a mission that you're trying to accomplish and a mode is there's far more modes out there
Mm-hmm.
that you get into on a regular basis. And there's only a limited number of kind of shopping missions where you're specifically focused on shopping. So you're limiting yourself if you're just thinking about shopping missions. But it's nothing wrong with it. At least it's a first step. But there's more that you can do.
We know how much clutter there is in experience data and how hard it is to pinpoint the real issues. That's why we're so excited to introduce you to our strategic partner, Feedback Now, the world's best company for real-time feedback. You've heard us talk about contextual insights and understanding customer situations. Well, that's exactly what Feedback Now does. They process over 130 million customer opinions each year in over 50,000 unique locations around the world. Companies who employ Feedback Now see an average increase in satisfaction of 15% in just 6 weeks, my friends. Feedback Now is the choice for real-time sentiment data collection for some of the world's best airports, retailers, and hospital systems. Why? Because they don't just capture immediate customer sentiment. They help you see the patterns in your data. No amount of AI can compensate for not having real customers giving you real-time insights into your experience. That's what Feedback Now, with a little assistance from Stone Mantle, does. And friends, I am happy to announce that Feedback Now and Stone Mantle's Insights teams are giving away a free pilot program to one lucky listening company. All you have to do is go to their website, which we've listed in the show notes, share your idea for a real-time data project that you wish someone would help you with. The crack team at Stone Mantle and Feedback Now will review all of those entries for the one with the highest potential to produce the most interesting and profitable results and select one winner, which we'll announce right here on the show. Friends, you know that Joe, Dave, and I lead the Experience Strategy Collaboratives. What you may not know is that this year is the 20th anniversary of Stone Mantle. And to celebrate, we are pulling out all of the stops. This year's program will help your company create the best AI solutions, the best transformation experiences, the best engagement strategies, and it will help you shape your business model for the future. And for listeners of this podcast, we have an amazing offer. We're giving away a one-person membership to the collaboratives, a $35,000 value. Yep. The winner can participate in the collaboratives for free. To enter, just complete our entry form and subscribe to the Experience Strategist Substack. You'll find links to both in the show notes and on our Substack, theexperiencedstrategist.substack.com. Enter to win through June 30th, 2025. Well, going back to this idea of modes. So modes are so context-based. And that's what makes them feel meaningful to customers because it feels like, oh, you understand me. And so my favorite thing about the way they've designed this actually is that travel mode operates even without internet access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's stunning. Right?
It's right. Like it's thinking about what is the person going to need in this context. That's how you design for modes in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic that they're thinking through as much as they are, and I think we have to give them, since they're just in pilot stages, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt that over time it'll get better. Now, one of the things that we need to be careful of is that people aren't always in travel mode, so this is not going to solve every problem that Zara has. And by focusing just on travel mode, they're not going to grow everything about their business, but they're going to support them in that key moment, that key situation that people find themselves in. And hopefully it'll lead them to think about other modes that they can support as well.
And presumably it's a key conversion mode, and that's why they've chosen to lead out with this mode, because you're right. Ideally, they're going to have a bunch of different modes in their app, and you can just toggle over to which mode I'm in the same way that I do with my iPhone. Or I can create custom modes, but I can also use pre-designed modes that most people find relevant. I think for the purpose of this conversation and for the audience, one of the things that's probably most valuable is to talk about, like, based on all of our collective research into modes, what makes this current design, and I agree with you, it's a beta, it's early, they're going to keep iterating. That's awesome. But like, let's use this as an example to say, what do we believe based on our research is going to work about this and what isn't going to work so well? And I'll jump in because I think that one of the things that flagged for me as a potential opportunity to learn from here is this idea of like sending postcards or travel tips. Now, I'm not going to go to the Zara app to get that stuff. To me, that seems like a waste of energy for their content. They didn't already have a whole travel tip team right? Like, now, if it were directly linking me to a personal shopper in store to talk to, this is Susan who loves yoga and food, and she can be your personal shopper in store. Okay, that's relevant to why I would be looking to connect with Zara. It's good for the business. It's good for me as a traveler trying to connect and like meet local people, which from all of our transformational travel research, we know people really care about those authentic experiences. But like these sort of extraneous off-core brand offerings to me just don't add anything.
Well, if you're going to go ahead.
That's funny because that was what I found most interesting about it.
Interesting. Okay, say more.
Well, one, because it does have the context that I'm actually in the place, right? And yeah, not everybody's going to do that, but Zara has some number of super consumers, right, of raving fans that really do want to spend time on that app. And particularly if they have bought something before that arrives, then you're sort of like in tune with the app. But to give me tips on what to see from a perspective of a Zara, a person who identifies with Zara as opposed to a general tourist that you don't know anything about, and with the giving the postcards, I don't know if it's just digital postcards or physical, although as an aside, one of the things I find interesting is that they called it memories. Mm-hmm. It's one of the signs of the experience economy is we call memorabilia, including postcards, now memories, right? Even though they're not the actual memory, they're the memento of the memory. But what I think that they could do is think about partnering with other companies to be able to do that, right? And to be able to enhance that. So imagine being able to connect directly into Airbnb experiences or some other experience platform rather than just have tips that say go this. Well, if you give me a tip to do that, let me book it right there and being able to do that. Or you mentioned like if you have a crisis, you lose your luggage. Well, there you want a relationship with American Express or some other whatever credit card company they have that can do all the things that they need, including be able to get them cash to be able to pay for the new outfit at Zara if they don't have their credit card with them anymore.
No, I like those ideas, and I think you could take it a step further, and you could maybe tie some of the photo shoots that you do to particular locations.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right. And so like, this is what the model, like when you send, this is a picture of the model in the location where you're potentially going to be going to, right? Mm-hmm. Then that becomes pretty cool. Or include celebrities who have worn Zara products in locations nearby, and include that in there so people can see what other people have worn.
Let's have a huge portfolio of those images from all the ad campaigns they've done, and you can take your picture in the same outfit or in the same position, right? As
right, or in the same set. What is that? That to me is so much more compelling and relevant to what this company offers. I'm in a group called Girls Love Travel, and it's maybe hundreds of thousands of members. I mean, it's a massive global group of women sharing tips. The vast majority of these posts are, I took a picture at this venue.
Yeah, right.
Right. And it's like, I took pictures on the famous flying dress set. I took pictures on the famous clear boat set. Right. And they have the same kind of sets in lots of different places. But people are so excited by these sort of very aspirational views of who they are as a person and this image and memorabilia of transformational travel that it does feel like something that a fashion brand could create for them so easily. Because you're right, Joe, they've already created all these assets through their own photo shoots. They have the pulse on what people are wearing. But none of this is about wearing, right? And that's what bothered me about it, is it's just like curated travel tips, restaurants, museums, and popular attractions. It's like not every those are going to be the same. Everybody's going to give you the same stuff.
Yeah.
But fashion from Zara is actually something they have authority on. It's something they are doing unique research and have unique insights on. They have a community built local. Like, that's what I'm excited by, is just really like leveraging your own strengths to create something notable.
Do you see the possibility of creating a community of people that are using this app, and now
we can meet up,
recommendations to each other about what they do and where they go?
Totally. And they do mention that in their overview of it very quietly. They sort of say, and sometimes chat.
Well, they should,
and it's like, they tell me more.
Well, they should tap into social media. I mean, they can just put a little Zara some logo or something on some of the photos that are generated either by them or by people who who are using the app, and then share it more broadly the right way.
Right. And that's how they build awareness of this, right? This feature is shared in their social, and then their followers are going to use it.
I think one of the reasons, what we've done here is we've kind of shifted their conversation. They've started out by explaining kind of a functional need that somebody has when they're traveling. So they've looked at travel mode and how do I get clothes to the destination that I need to have them to as easily as possible. And we've made it much more aspirational. We've made it much more emotional. We've made it much more social. And there's no reason why companies, when they're focused on modes, need to solely focus on kind of functionality. Like, can I turn off this feature? Can I turn on this feature? I think Apple, with their different focuses that they provide at modes, it's really kind of functional. Doesn't really support you. They could go far beyond what they're currently doing. And I think that's a big mistake that a lot of companies make, because they think that if they're just supporting the functional need, they're somehow supporting the mode.
Well, I'd say the closest they've gotten to that is the ability to customize who can kind of easily break into your modes. Right. So the fact that I can flag my children's phone numbers.
Yeah.
That feels meaningful to me.
Yeah.
Because it taps into my competing modes, right? And I think that's something we need to talk about a lot too, is like a lot of our friction happens when we are in competing modes. I'm 24/7 in mom mode, and there's all these other modes that are trying to take the lead at some of those times. Yeah. And it's hard when mom mode butts in on podcaster mode.
Yeah.
That is inconvenient.
Which raises an interesting question.
Is there anything going on?
It is the first day of summer break, and I'm actually in shock that we are 18 minutes and 37 seconds into this, and nobody has knocked on the door.
Well, Rancis, which begs the question, as our behavioral scientist on this podcast, why aren't more behavioral scientists studying modes?
It's a great question. And I mean, I think, to be fair, there is understanding of context, right? Like, so anybody studying behavioral science or behavior change in general is going to be looking at context. Are they calling it modes? No. Should they be? Probably yes. But it's highly contextual study. I think what hasn't been popularized is the model that you're talking about yet. We're seeing it happen in real time here, right? That it is a mindset and a set of behaviors that are happening on a temporary basis. So you'll hear behavioral scientists talk constantly about mindset and behaviors. We're not talking about that temporary nature of people flowing in and out, which is what really distinguishes the modes-based thinking to me. And I just think it's a big opportunity.
It feels like to me, and I'm not in your field necessarily, but it feels like to me that there is a bias towards things that are permanent. We like to talk about habits. We like to talk about routines. I just like to study personality traits because they're all permanent. There's something almost static about them. And modes are more dynamic, much more temporary, much more built by the individual themselves. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about behavior change, right? So pattern change, right? And so inherently that is about doing something differently and trying to get people to behave in a way they're not already behaving. So that is different than modes, because modes is more about how do we respond to what people are naturally doing.
I see what you're saying.
Two sides of one coin. I think they work really well together, and they're just sort of approaching it from different angles.
Interesting.
This has been really fun. I hope we keep talking about modes, and I hope we keep getting ideas from listeners. So if you're out there listening to this and you're asking yourself questions about what we've said here, if there's anything you want to know more information on, reach out to us on Substack. That's the very best way to find us. We are all there. You can find us most readily at theexperiencestrategist.substack.com, and tell us what you'd like to hear more about, what kind of examples would be most helpful to you in your work right now. Because things are changing so quickly, and the more we can all make choices about the future that understand the customer and where they're going, the better off we'll all be. Thanks so much for listening.